Let's talk about dying before you die, because that's the real process of awakening. Now, anybody that has a concept or an idea or religion or a cult, it's not true. None of it's true. Not anything that I even say on here is true. I have to negate everything I say right after I say it because truth is not conceptual. I repeated this so many times. But here's what happens. When you truly awaken, when you go through a real process, a real shift, you feel like you're dying. And that's how it should be. Otherwise, you are just adding concepts to the self, to the ego. And what you're doing is building a spiritual ego, and that's disgusting. And I know that through personal experience. I had a very strong Christian ego in my past, and it was gross. It was judgy. It was shameful. There's just a lot of attachments that I brought in that were just, ugh. Now, if you're truly on the path to awakening or enlightenment, whatever you want to call it, the only way there is dismantling and deconstructing the self, the false, the ego. Now, when you do that, it hurts because you really at first think like you are attached to it. It feels like you. So in the Bible, there's this phrase, to die daily. I don't know who said it. Makes a lot of sense now to me that I didn't understand it before. I used to think it meant maybe like die to your own preferences, like put what you want down and do what God wants. I don't know, but that's not what it means. It means as you look into your ideas, your preference, your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, and see that there's nothing there, and see that that's all not true, all of your ideas are not true, it hurts. It feels like you're dying. It's unpleasant. It's not fun. The first one is really, really unpleasant. And then after that, it gets a lot easier. Then there's little ones here and there and stuff comes up and you deal with it. But each one hurts. I had a friend of mine on here ask me, like, what's it feel like? What's a shift, like a true shift, feel like? Is it cool? Is it weird? And I said, a real one? A real one feels like pain. It hurts. Now, anybody that tells you anything else probably hasn't had one. They just have ideas. They have spiritual ideas. They have lofty ideals. They have goals. They have dreams. They want to be seen a certain way. They want to look and sound intelligent. And I admit there are people, I have watched some people on YouTube that are way better at explaining these things. They sound way more intelligent. They can curate a story like so well, beautifully actually. But they have no idea. And they haven't gone through the actual process. And I can tell because once you have, you can just tell who hasn't. It's so tricky because people want to follow charismatic leaders. But there shouldn't be leaders in this spiritual, in a real shift, in a real awakening. You don't need anyone. You need yourself. All you have to do is tear into yourself. Be it through meditation, self-inquiry, get a journal out, something. Just start looking at yourself and ask yourself what is true. And it's so easy to just pretend like we understand what is true without actually going through the process. Let me read a passage from a really awesome book. This is my mic's in the way. The most sincere seekers are the most desperate to stay lost. That's the real dynamic at work in the spiritual quest. They're not seeking truth or answers. They're seeking relief from spiritual dissonance. Providing this relief is the lifeblood of the religious and spiritual marketplace. It has nothing to do with truth or awakening. It's actually the opposite. In the final analysis, stripped of all its holy pretensions, the entire spiritual marketplace is nothing more than existential quick lube shop. There may be endless variety of packaging, but it is simply one product. Spiritual continence is what all seekers seek. They want to end discomfort, not delusion. To truly end delusion, it's extremely uncomfortable. Anyone who has truly done it will tell you. The truth of this stuff is not pretty, it's not fancy, it's not extra ideas about God or the stars or spiritual anything, other beings or dimensions. All that stuff is nonsense. And don't take my word for it. Just look into it yourself. Has anybody in the... Just pick a group of people, pick a religion, pick a spiritual group, and just ask yourself, how many enlightened people is this producing? Do they have a track record for actually producing enlightenment, or are they producing followers who just get stuck following their whole life? Asking questions, seeking outward, following a famous spiritual teacher, spiritual leader, a new thought, new idea. There's so many, they're endless. They're endless ideas and people you can follow. But that's not what this is. That's not how you get to the truth. You get to the truth by tearing down the false. Because the truth isn't conceptual. And there's no way to truly find it. But what you can do is experience it, and to get to the experience of it, you just start dismantling everything that is false. And that's pretty much all of it. It's kind of what this reality is. It's just a big charade. It's smoke and mirrors. And once you see through that for yourself, nobody can do it but you, then all of the other cool benefits and beautiful things start arising, which I'm going to stop talking about because I start to notice people want all the good stuff, but they don't want to do the work. It's like, like people want the grilled steak without ever turning on the fire. You got to walk through the fire yourself. And if anybody is going to tell you the truth, I mean, I'll do it. It's not fun. It hurts. It sucks. I just had to do one on this little break that I had. A few, actually. A few. I had some ugly stuff in there that I was unaware of. But life's the greatest teacher. It'll give you the perfect circumstances at the perfect time so you can look at your stuff. I'll give an example. Part of my process. Where was it? Here we go. Okay. All right, I have tried to contact my mom for a long time. I've called her 10 or 15 times. She hardly ever answers. She's hard to get a hold of. Sent her a bunch of pictures of the grandkids, hardly any response. But then there's always the talk of, oh, I wish I could see them more. I wish I knew them more. But there's no effort on her side. So I felt a little bothered by that just recently, and I thought, interesting. I wonder what I'm holding on to here, because that usually wouldn't bother me. So I wrote it. She's bad at keeping in touch, doesn't call, doesn't FaceTime, and then complains about not seeing them and not whatever. And then I wrote some harsh words. You got to get your real feelings out about this stuff. Nobody's going to see it. You can burn it later. It doesn't matter. So what is true? I am upset. I'm sad. I'm a little mad. I think she doesn't care. What do I believe? That she should act differently. Then you flip it around. I always flip these around because there's no external. So if I believe she should act differently, what I'm really saying is I should act differently. So I'm putting a should on myself. Not great. Not a good start. Ah, maybe I should do something different. Maybe I need to do more. Maybe I need to call more. Maybe I need to earn her love. See where this is going? It's getting uglier. And that's the point. You got to dig this stuff out. I feel like I'm not good enough for her interest. Maybe I should be more. Maybe I don't feel enough to keep her involved. So that causes me to feel sad. And sadness is just a belief in lack. So then I look into that. So then I look into that belief. I am not enough. Is that true? Well, no. It's not true. It has nothing to do with her or me. Did I believe it? Yes. To let go of that belief, does it hurt? Also, yes. It's been with me for years. It's really comfortable. I know it well. Who would I be if I actually felt like I was enough? I don't know. It's uncomfortable. It's unknown. Moving into truth and into better, bigger, greater things is often scary and hard, even though it's good. All right, so I'm attached to the idea that that she should be different than what she actually is. So I think I have an idea in my mind that she should be different. So that's an attachment. So then false attachments usually cause anger, so it made me a little bit angry. And then I got to think, okay, I am attached to this idea. Is that true? Also, no. All right, here's what I used to do when I was a Christian, and it actually works. So you can say life is a dream. I like using that analogy. You can make this dream, you can turn it from a nightmare to a good dream, or you can step outside of the dream completely, which is what I would call awakening. Now, turning a dream into a better dream does work, and that's honestly what religion kind of does. So when I was religious, I would make my dream better, and I did that for a long time until I hit a plateau, and then I just started kind of expanding more, and then I dropped my religion. So I would get to that, say I would dig down to that belief, I am not enough. Now, when you get to that point, when you get to the core belief, which I think that was the bottom of that whole situation, was that feeling of I'm not enough. Which is really common for men. I've talked to a lot of men, and this comes up a lot, if they're honest. A lot of people don't want to talk about this because it's uncomfortable. Anyway, the truth is in discomfort, so just go there if you want it, if you want the truth. Now, as a Christian, I would have said, I'm not enough. Is that true? No. But then I would have changed it into, well, I would have changed that belief into a different belief. I would have taken that belief that wasn't positive and I would have transferred it into a positive one. So I would have said, I'm not enough in my own eyes, but I am enough in God's eyes. So then you've kind of kept the belief, but changed the story to be more positive. Now that does work. It causes positive change. And that's why a lot of this behavior stuff in religion does work. You're trading your story, your crappy story, for a better story. Or you're inserting your story into a better story, which then in turn kind of makes your story better. And it gives it more purpose, whatever. I don't do that anymore. Not saying it's bad or good. It just is what it is. It does work to a certain extent. But it ran its course for me. So now I get to the bottom of the core belief, I am not enough. And that's when I ask myself, but not before I get to the bottom. When I get to the bottom, I ask myself, is this true? And the answer is usually, well, it's always no. It's not true. But again, you've lived with it for so long. It feels like you. It feels true. But it's not true. Now, in that moment, if I'm being honest, the release of the belief always comes with tears. It's like a weird dying, grieving process. Now, it used to be really intense. Now it's just 3 seconds. Because it hurts to see it and feel it. You got to feel it. You got to let it go. It's not true. Every time you do that with any belief, you get lighter, you see more, it becomes more clear in your own life and everyone else's. It's wild how much you can see in other people when you start seeing it in yourself. It's a blessing and a curse. But the blessing and the curse, they balance each other out, so it just becomes neutral. You just neutrally see everything for what it is. For example, I was reading this book at a coffee shop, and I forgot I was in public. The name of his first book is Spiritual Enlightenment, The Damnedest Thing. Now, I wasn't reading it to learn anything. I'm just reading it because it was recommended to me, and this guy's writing style is hilarious, and I feel like we're a similar personality type. So reading the way that he reacts to things that would really scare the crap out of or shock any normal person, reading now his reactions to it are just so funny to me that I was in this public place waiting for my coffee, and I had this book with me, so I opened it and I'm reading it, and I was laughing so much. I didn't realize I was attracting attention. I was lost in the book. I wasn't paying attention to anyone else. This girl walks up. This younger woman, I guess, walks up and she said, "Hey, what are you reading?" And so I turned the book over, and the title's pretty obvious, Spiritual Enlightenment. And I hand the book to her, and she flips through it, and she kind of looks at it a little bit, turns it over, reads the back, and then hands it back to me and says, "Oh, I study philosophy." And in that moment, I didn't even understand what was happening for a minute. It took me a minute to register. And I thought about the book and what she said, and I didn't see the connection. And I looked at her and I said, "Oh, I didn't even realize this was in that category." And she grabs the book back from me. She turns it over and she points to the back of it and says, and it actually says philosophy on the back. It says spirituality, philosophy, New Age is the category the book is in. I didn't know that. I'm reading this book because I relate to what he's expressing, and to me, it's a real lived experience. Now, to this girl, it's a studied philosophy. So we are in two different worlds. She's telling me, yeah, I like philosophy. Here I am living in what's being explained in the book. And in that moment, looking at her, she's looking at me. We're in two different worlds, and it all became clear in just a flash. And I thought, there's nothing I can say. I have no way to explain this. And so I just drew a blank. I just stared at her. And she stared at me, and there we were, having an awkward silence. Luckily, the barista called her name and she went and got her coffee, and I just could say something short like, "Enjoy your coffee," and we parted ways. But yeah, when you are in it and living it and can see all this stuff really clearly because you've cleared out all your own shit, it's pretty wild how much you can see in other people. And sometimes the disconnect is so vast that it's not even worth trying to explain. And then sometimes it's not. Sometimes you can kind of bridge the gap and ask questions. But I could just tell by her general demeanor and the way she pointed at the book, like very serious, like I know philosophy. I just got the feeling like there was definitely no bridge to gap here. No gap to whatever. You get the idea. So those are the two routes. You can study, you can gain knowledge, and you can become a spiritual person. Or you can start dismantling yourself and seeing what's false, tearing it down, and just keep going. And eventually you will end with nothing. There will be nothing left. And what you experience will be what people call awakening or enlightenment. There'll be no attachments. There'll be no philosophy. There will be a real lived experience that if you try to start explaining to people, they will label it as philosophy, although for you, it is just lived experience. It is real life. It is not learned. It is not attained. It is what's left after you dismantle everything that you were taught, that you did learn. By asking yourself, is this true? Where am I? Who am I? Why am I angry? Where did this come from? I heard a sermon once when I was a Christian. I went to this church. They had a guest speaker. And man, it was true. He just went through all these scenarios. He just ripped people a new one, honestly. He went through all these scenarios like, oh, I'm offended. Oh, I'm so hurt. Oh, you can't believe what these people did to me. Oh, this, oh, that. And he would end by saying, it's you. It's you. Problem is you. Guess what? It's you. And that's what I'm saying. People get mad. They don't want to hear that. But look, if you're getting mad at what I'm saying, it's you. Look into it. Why are you mad? Where is it coming from? It was programmed. Just find the program and delete it. That's all this is. That same guy, people would tell him, you're out of your mind. He would say, no, I'm just out of yours. He was funny. Anyway, what was the title of this? What's my point? Find out what's true. Don't listen to anybody else. Dig into yourself until there is no self left. Yeah, I think that was the point. Thanks for watching.